Hey, Amy Bell here. I've just been in the shower, doing my shower thoughts thing, and I've been thinking about, the difference that makes the difference in the shower. What's the difference that makes a difference? What's the difference that makes a difference between like surface level change and really kind of deep systemic change? What's the difference that makes a difference between like a good coach and a great coach? What's the difference that makes a difference between a good trainer and a great trainer? I've been thinking about all the trainers and coaches and mentors that I've had over the years, and what do they have in common? Like the ones that I've worked with, where I've really leveled up, where I've had deep systemic change, where I've really grown personally, professionally, these kinds of things. And what do they have in common? I've been thinking about the different change work modalities that I use as a coach, as a trainer, and what's the difference that makes the difference there in terms of, the stuff that's like cool and useful, and the stuff that's just like epic, the stuff that is just incredibly powerful that I can't imagine being able to do my job without, the stuff that really gets the high level results for my people. And that kind of led me to think about blind spots, because one of the things that all of the coaches and trainers and mentors that I've had have in common is their ability to help me to sense into, to see, to feel, to listen, to sense into my own blind spots. That's what's led to the most profound change for me as an individual. And not just any kind of blind spots either. There's some blind spots that have kind of more bang for buck, I guess, that are more impactful than other blind spots. And this is one of the things that I think made learning the Enneagram so powerful for me, in terms of my own personal growth, but also my ability to facilitate change in my coaching clients and, my performance as a trainer and this kind of thing. Because with the Enneagram, what it allows you to do is just to sense into immediately with the person that you're working with, go straight to the heart of the blind spot that is going to be the difference that makes the difference for this particular person. The blind spot that is limiting this person, the blind spot that is creating the friction and the challenges, the drama and the stress in this person's life. This is it. Like the Enneagram is the difference that makes a difference in terms of being able to sense into really, really quickly, really, really effectively, go straight to the heart of the blind spot that is the difference that makes the difference for the people that you're working with, but also for your own kind of personal growth. I remember reading Todd Herman's book, Alter Ego. Todd Herman is a performance coach, and I love the book Alter Ego. I'm envious of the book Alter Ego. I wish I had written that book. It's some ideas that it's just really, really well done. It's just very well done. I love it. Read it. And I remember him talking in that book about working with a tennis player. And so he's coaching this tennis player, he's doing some performance coaching, because she's an interesting case. She's like this tennis player who is absolutely amazing at what she does. She starts playing a game of tennis and she is demonstrating that she has all of the skills that she needs to completely destroy her opponent. First part of the game, she is annihilating, absolutely destroying her opponent. And then partway through the game, it's like her skills just disappear. It's a really weird thing that's happening. Like she's got the skill, she's demonstrating that she's got the skill to be able to destroy her opponents. But there's this weird thing that's happening partway through the game where it's like all of that just goes out the window. And he was super perplexed, like what is going on there? He just couldn't figure it out. It took him ages. And he had to take her out into a different context to discover what it was that was kind of limiting her performance on the court. And turns out She's somebody who is incredibly empathic. She is somebody who really cares about people and how they feel, and she's a people helper kind of person and believes that this is how she needs to be in the world. And what was happening on the tennis court is that she's coming out, she's playing tennis, she's completely destroying her opponent, and at some point in the game, she starts to think about how that other person on the other side of the net is feeling and how they're going to feel when she completely destroys them. And she feels bad. And when she feels bad, then she just kind of would throw the game because she didn't want them to feel bad. And we all have things like this that we do. We all have a self-concept, and you might not necessarily see yourself as like the people helper and that sort of thing, but we all have these ways of perceiving ourselves, ways that we think that we must be in order to be okay, ways that we think others must be in order to be okay, ways that we think the way that the world works and the world is, and they're all just ideas. And when we behave as if those things are true, then that limits us in certain ways. And for a lot of us, this is complete blind spot. We are totally oblivious to the fact that this is the way that we're perceiving the world, perceiving ourselves, that we're limiting ourselves in these ways. So the Enneagram is something that allows you to be able to uncover those filters that are they're so unconscious. They're often so deeply unconscious that it just seems like this is reality, that this is the way the world works. And, thinking about that example of Todd Herman's, I was like, oh, I wonder if he's come across the Enneagram, because the Enneagram is something that, like, the moment you met that person, you would get that. And you'd be able to go straight to the heart of who she was showing up as on the court. Like, we know that Beyonce, for example, created this whole alter ego to help her to be able to tap into these different aspects of herself, to help her to be able to break free of some of the limitations about who she thought she had to be. She wanted to be really like sassy and sexy and out there on the stage, but she kind of had this good girl thing going on. And so she created this alter ego, Sasha Fierce, that was, when she came out on stage and she was Sasha Fierce, she was able to, express different aspects of ourselves. And we see this all the time, see this often with performers. Somebody can be the most incredible singer. They can have the skill, they can move people in certain ways. But if this person believes that they have to be good and loving and kind, and they can't be anything kind of beyond that, and they just have to be like the good girl, and they have to project sweetness in order to be loved and accepted, or whatever that might be, whatever that narrative might be, then that is going to limit them in terms of the ways that they're able to move people in their emotional range as a performer. And it's so obvious. It's so obvious the moment that you see people and you hear people, and people show up in front of you, and you see the way that they interact with themselves and the world. It's all right there. Their blind spots, the way that they're limiting themselves in terms of who they think they have to be, how they've got to show up, what they must do, what they must not do, what is limiting them in terms of their flexibility in their behavior, what's causing relationship friction, what's, all of this stuff. It's right there. It's right there. And so, this is one of the powerful things about the Enneagram, is the ability to be able to just recognize really quickly, go straight to the heart of somebody's blind spot and start working with that. There's often, a lot of secondary gain that's built up around that. And so when you work with that, this is where people start to soften around these ideas about, what they can do, what they can't do, how they must be, how they must not be, all of these kinds of things. And that's what leads to really profound change. But also, as an agent of change, of course, in terms of your own performance, you're also doing these same things. You have these same filters that limit your performance as a coach, as a trainer, as a people helper, as, whatever it is that you do, as a parent. And so being able to sense into your own blind spots as an agent of change will help you to be able to show up as so much more than that limited range of things that are appropriate, acceptable, for your own behavior and way of being. So that's why we start with the Enneagram training that I run, the Art of Being You. We start with you, so that you're working with the Enneagram from the inside out, and then that enables you to really kind of get other people, even if they're a different Enneagram type to you, having done the inner work and getting a sense for what it's like from the inside, and also developing the skills that you need to develop to be able to work with your own Enneagram stuff. That's what makes you really effective at being able to recognize other people's Enneagram stuff, and also be able to help them to free themselves of their own self-imposed limitations and things, because it's like these blind spots, these self-concepts, these fears, these desires that we have, these ideas about who we have to be and how the world is. They're so unconscious, and we just take it for granted that this is actually real, that this is how the world works, and everybody must see the world this way and think this way. But then we frequently get feedback that there's differences between those things, that people don't necessarily see the world the way that we do, that people don't necessarily think that they must behave a certain way in a particular situation. We frequently get feedback that there's differences there, but it can be deeply unconscious, these filters that we're kind of bringing in. So that's another aspect in terms of your own growth as a trainer, coach, agent of change, whatever it is that you do. Being able to get out of, as best you can, your own assumptions about who you are and how the world works, so that you can facilitate somebody much more powerfully outside of your own lens. Outside of your own lenses about how things work and how things have to be and what's the best course of action and all these sorts of things. So it's incredibly powerful in terms of those blind spots. And like right now, if you want to start sensing into and discovering some of the blind spots that might be leading to relationship friction or reduced performance in some area, holding you back in some way, one of your best assets available to you is your body, and you can start to tune into in interactions, and group interactions, in one-on-one interactions, conversations. Start to tune into in your body, get a sense for. There's so much feedback in your body about your Enneagram stuff. Start to tune into, like, when do you close down in a conversation or a situation? When do you withdraw? When do you move forward? When do you attack? When do you protect? When do you disconnect? When do you, and there'll be sensations in your body that are indicating, when do you close down in some way? When do you tighten? When do you restrict? When do you constrict? What happens and when? When does that happen? And what's driving that? What are you doing that for? Lots of feedback in your body if you start to tune into the blind spots, because we're often, just completely oblivious about what's happening inside our bodies and the messages that are just constantly kind of there for us. So that's a great place to start. And if you want to kind of take a deep dive and go straight to the heart of your blind spots and be able to recognize those in other people, then come and train with me. I've got the Art of Being You Enneagram, starts February 4th to the 6th. It's 3 full days online, all live, beautiful group of people, all looking into, listening, sensing into our blind spots together, and learning about all the different Enneagram types as well, and starting to relax those limitations that you have been imposing on yourself your whole life, and often deeply unconsciously, deeply unaware of the ways in which that you've been doing that. Join us on live February 4th to the 6th. I would love to see you there. It's all, it's a content model, but it's all very embodied, practical, skill-based, because learning a content model, it's just kind of information that you don't really do anything with, just isn't useful. It's not something that lights me up. It's not something I'd be particularly motivated to share with anybody. But when you learn the Enneagram as an embodied practical skill, something that you can do stuff with, that helps you to be able to show up differently, increases your own behavioral flexibility, helps you to facilitate that inside other people, that's where there's a lot of aliveness for me, and I would love to share this with you. So I'll put a link in the comments so you can go and check out all the info that's there. All live online, Australia time. If you're the kind of person that is cool to get up in the middle of the night and spend a whole day with people online in Australia, then you're more than welcome to be there. It's probably time zone friendly for some people outside of Australia, but certainly not kind of UK and stuff like that. But wherever you are in the world, I would love to see you there. Come and join us at the Art of Being You, February 4th to the 6th. And that's all from me for today. Bye.